Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, you guys. This is David Valenzuela with I Wish Podcast, giving you the opportunity to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you are listening to us on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, we would love a 5-star review. On today's episode, we are featuring Pam Panacci with Laura Vera Skin in Redondo Beach, California. Pam's going to tell us about how she started out actually still being a flight attendant and starting to work her way into her aesthetic career, being licensed for over 15 years, owning the studio for over a decade. I love it. Starting in 2013, you guys, it's 2024, you're all. Focusing on your niche, what that looks like, you guys, how to actually identify what clientele you want to be successful with, treating acne as a whole body initiative. So we're not just talking about topical skincare professional treatments, but really addressing her clients in totality. She's going to give us some profitable tips for running a profitable spa business, how to connect with her clients before and after. And also, you guys, one of the things that's going to stand out in this podcast is that she's been able to do all this without being on social media. So buckle up. I'd like to introduce Pam Panacci to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I love it. I love it. So you guys, Pam's a little bit nervous. She's going to relax in a second. We all have a little bit of nerves doing this. We're not in the treatment room right now, so it's okay to have a little bit of a moment. It's all right. So Pam, tell us about where did your interest in aesthetics begin, and where did you decide to go to aesthetic school?
So I didn't even know aesthetics was a thing until I myself struggled with acne for a very long time. I feel like probably the same as a lot of estheticians that get into treating acne. And of course I tried to figure it out on my own, and that didn't work out. And then my mom and I actually went for my first facial ever, which was a little, I'll say, later in life. But I didn't even really know that was a thing. I'm like, wait a minute. But she really helped me kind of get sorted with my own skin. And I was just in love with that industry, and the fact that you could make somebody feel or help them feel as amazing as they did in that moment, and then beyond with just their skin health. And so I went to aesthetic school in New York City. And it was the best time.
Did you grow up on the East Coast?
No, I grew up in the San Francisco area.
Okay. All right.
And I was a flight attendant for many years after college, and I moved to New York City, where I lived for many years. And I went to school there. Wow. And then what was so funny, this is kind of a sidebar, I got licensed in New York, I worked in New York, and then we moved out to California, and I had to retake the exam out here. Well, so I went to this school to figure out just how to prepare for this exam. And I found out that I had to, in a hot hurry, quickly learn how to apply lashes. I'm like, what? That was part of the exam.
You're
I had no idea. I never applied lashes at all. And so I passed.
It was a little learning curve. Okay, just throw this curve. You know what? So we've had people that have talked about where they went to school and then moving states.
Yeah.
I have a gal, actually, there's a little bit of a kerfuffle, you guys, if you're listening in Georgia, with the whole licensing board, and they're having to wait a long time to actually get their license actually processed.
Yeah.
So I get it. But when you move states, if you've gone to school in Florida where they don't have a lot of hours, and then you want to move to California, you're going to have to do the difference. And then to get your license in California, which is also... So your interest in aesthetics really began because you had acne and you went to see somebody give you a facial.
Yeah.
And then where was that? Was that in New York or was that California?
I was in California, in San Francisco.
Okay. All right. So you actually took the path of college, flight attendant, then aesthetics.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. How long were you a flight attendant?
23 years.
Oh my gosh, Pam.
I know.
Wow.
I know. You feel for me, don't you?
Oh. So I lived in Atlanta for a long time, the Delta hub, right? So I have a lot of flight attendant friends. They're the ones that told me, don't ever put your dog under the plane. I was like,
that's right. Don't do it.
So I'm like, okay, freak me out already. So we're driving him across the country, totally different podcast. But the life of a flight attendant is no joke. And I don't know what happened. This is total side tangent, but I don't know what happened post-pandemic with people's behavior on planes. I
No,
don't know what happened.
I don't understand. I mean, people are crazy now. And I honestly just when the pandemic came, I took a long leave of absence. I thought I'm not stepping anywhere near the airplanes right now.
Yeah.
It was in 2021 where I had to go back. So I actually my leave was up and I went back. And of course, things never returned to what they were. And I flew as little as possible. I sunk everything else I could into my business.
Yes.
And I just decided I think it's time for me to retire. So I retired actually in 2022, June of 2022.
So you were actually, you had started your business and were still doing being a flight attendant and sort of
Yeah.
had the merge of the two together where you're like, I got to let this thing go.
Yeah. I always kind of thought my flight attendant gig was like my parachute,
Yeah.
it was my safety net. If I
Yeah.
wasn't busy at work, I would just pick up a trip. But what was
Yes.
interesting during the pandemic was I knew people kept telling me, focus on a niche, focus on what you really love to do because then
Yeah.
you'll really grow. And I was so nervous to do that because I was like, well, what about all the other faces? I just thought there's no way. And during the pandemic when we were closed, I shifted all of my literature, my website, everything to the things that conditions I really love to work with. And
Yes.
when I opened my doors again, my business skyrocketed. I couldn't believe it. It was insane.
I
Wow.
love it. It's
It worked.
fantastic. Well, you're doing something right because so you said a couple things that I think are really super powerful and impactful. One, focusing on something that you love to do.
Yeah.
I've interviewed a lot of people so far, and we've had varying paths. Some people are like, I saw the estheticians making a lot of money. I had acne myself. There's a myriad of paths to get to where you sit in your aesthetic business now. But so, what year did Laura Vera begin?
2013.
2013. Okay, so you're just came up past a decade moment.
Yeah. I've been licensed for 15 years. And then, yeah, about 10 years then.
I love that. And so talk to me about the name and where this came from. This is a special story.
I mean, I don't know if it's my late grandmother's name, Laura Vera,
Yeah.
and we would spend a lot of time together. And her name means strength and beauty, and I thought, what better name? What better
What a
name?
better, I mean, I love it too. So when you first contacted us and I was looking at the name and I was like, no, I think her name's Pam. Because this industry we have a lot of people that name their businesses after themselves, but I was like, no, no. I'm
That's
like, was telling my business partner, I'm like, her name is Pam, Stephen. I'm pretty
right.
sure that her name is Pam. I love it. It's
And
okay.
most
So,
people, a lot of my new clients, they come in and for the longest time they'll call me Laura. And of course I don't mind it. And then like, I'm
right.
not sorry I keep calling you that. It's fine.
It's okay. It's all right. They figure it out. So talk to me about so there's some hot things happening in the industry right now. One of which is graduating from aesthetic school and just jumping immediately going solo. And I'm trying to destigmatize the either having a side gig, so something to support your aesthetics while you're actually going through school, as opposed to just opening up your clinic and being like, I'm here, it's my sole source
Uh,
of income. And then I told the story about the girl that borrowed $30,000 from her dad to get the hydrofacial machine, but she doesn't have any clients. And I was like, okay, there's some wisdom. Obviously, you've been doing this for a minute. How did you go about building your first book of business? Like, how were you working like 2 days a week solid and then flying 4 days a week, or how was your schedule working at the
I
beginning?
kind of like that. Yeah, I would limit myself in the days that I was available and I would keep to those days. So if I was available, I tried to have like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday, Tuesday. I don't even remember what it was, but those were my days. And then I would fly the other days. Um, because I didn't, it's a psychological thing kind of. I didn't want to seem like I was too available at the same
Yeah.
time
Yep.
to client going online and seeing that I have, a million openings,
Right.
in a week. I just don't think that looked great. I know.
Yeah.
I think it's a psychological thing,
It is. It is.
why is she so available? There must be a reason. I don't know. So I tried to just wiggle it down, and then I can focus and give my attention to my business in those days. Because honestly, when I was away, I felt a disconnect with my business, and I felt much more productive even behind the scenes when I was physically here. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, I hated being away. Even now, like when I go on vacation, like, no, there's such a disconnect. I don't know what it is.
That means you love your business, which is a good place to
do.
be.
I do.
What airline did you work for?
American. Okay, but back in the day, when I was there, it was not the same airline. Oh my God, I don't know what's happening right now.
So you know what so because I lived in Georgia for a long time, obviously you have to fly Delta because that's where you live and you're going to earn all your miles and they're going everywhere international to like whatever. But there was an Instagram post where she actually did the personality of each airline. And if you were somebody that traveled or had worked in the industry, you would totally understand how she did each airline, like just and I was like, wow. I think United got the worst rap with the attitude. I was like, oh my gosh, it's actually kind of spot on. Like this is kind of interesting. Like, wow. And the flight, like she put on the different outfits from each airline
Oh
and was
my,
like marching through the airport. Like
oh
it was
my
just, I'll have to send it to you. I'll find it again and I'll send it to you because
God.
you'll appreciate it. So understanding, okay, so you having acne, understanding you wanted to focus on a niche. Did you start doing acne at the very beginning? Was that like part of your practice or?
I kind of wanted to, well, I didn't offer waxing because I'm terrible at it and I just dislike it very much. And I'm terrible at it. So, but I was trying to find my way. Like, what do I love to work with? And I remember actually in aesthetic school, we had a rep from somewhere come and talk with us. And she said, what area of aesthetics do you want to focus on? Do you want it to be
Wow.
retail or education? Do you want to be more holistic, medical? Like I have no idea. And there are so many different areas that you can immerse yourself in this field, Um, which I think makes it kind of challenging for people when they're fresh out of school,
Right.
and now you want to check all the boxes and you want to try and do all of the things. But that's where I keep going back. It's really important, I think, to really find what you love so much because then you just give it all, and then you
Yes.
get very good at it,
Yes.
you know?
So I was talking about it like even back in 2023 about, of course, my career has been really on focused brands with like single focus, whether it's Aveda, Dermalogica, cosmetics, face reality. We were all very focused on something specific.
Mm-hmm.
And as I traveled the world, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Russia back in the day, the UK, I always saw a different level of success with estheticians that had a focus, whether it was in the name of their business or it's what they primarily focused on, a specific skin condition.
Mm-hmm.
They were generally more successful and got to a successful point faster than trying to manage to be the master of all trades.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I call it the 30,000 foot view because I see everybody, what they're doing and I get the pictures and like what's going on with this skin. Like I get to see it and I'm like, I have the front row seat now to watching what actually happens when people are like, I'm going to focus down, or I'm going to start taking my waxing clients out of my books,
Man.
understanding a retail component associated with actual treatments versus just doing waxing
Yeah.
or lashes, or like, that's a hilarious story though. Like, by the way, figure out how to do lashes if you want to
Oh
be an
my
esthetician in
God.
California.
And I gotta tell you really quick, my mom was my model for my exam for California. And your model has to blink with these lashes on. I said, please just blink very slowly. That's what I need to stay on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? It's hilarious. The interview that I was talking to this morning, Jill Jodar, she's actually in San Francisco. We were talking about she went to Miss Marty's. And anyone, if you guys have lived in San Francisco or know anything about beauty schools, Miss Marty's was like an institution back in the day. I've had actually two people on that went to Miss Marty's school. At one point, they did have Sedesco trained estheticians in there. Like I think it kind of got a little wonky towards the end. But the idea behind when you're going to school and you're actually learning I think that there's so many things that you get exposed to, especially when you just graduate, and you
Mhm.
don't necessarily know. So my advice has always been find somewhere to work where you can either, if you don't have another income, you're not, I have waitresses and bartenders and all the side hustle jobs while you're building your business, which I want to destigmatize you guys. That's totally okay. It's totally okay to have a side hustle while you're building your business. If you're going to jump into it wholeheartedly and be like, this is going to be my jam. But the premise behind what is actually going to happen when you graduate is not actually taught in aesthetic school.
Correct.
And I'm not, everyone complains about it. Well, it should be like, and I'm like, I get it. But what it is today, right now, is it's just really set up to get you to pass state board in whatever states you live in. All the rest of the things that you learn in the real world, it's just like going to college. You pass a class and then 3 weeks later, you're like, wait, what the hell? Humanities? Okay, wait, the Acropolis. You're like 3 weeks later. So after getting out of aesthetic school, you're gonna actually learn by experience and by doing. So, my friend Maria, who has the money making esthetician group, she went to work at Burke Williams. She also crashed and burned as a solo esthetician the first 12 months. She's like, don't recommend it. This idea that we can just go solo after graduation, I'm like, there's a better way. It's going to save you a lot of time, save you a lot of money, and you're going to actually learn to do something that you love.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go solo at one point in your life. Like, it's okay.
Absolutely. I
It's
mean,
all right.
you learn, pay attention when you're working someplace. You can learn the business aspects of it and try to set up all of the business stuff first, having a
Yeah.
business plan and having a mission statement and doing all of these things before just
Yes.
going in and decorating a space and opening your door. Like you need to prepare.
So we see the debates about what should I want to get a neon sign for my wall. And we're like, okay, that shouldn't be the focus. Let's talk about how you're going to build your business and your clients before you start adding any accoutrement to just, I know, but that's why we do the podcast, because there's little pearls of wisdom in here for everybody. And the people that have been doing it for a decade, Jill's 25 years this morning, they obviously, you guys are doing something right to have a robust business and be busy and take a little time out to chat with us, have a conversation. So back to when you were first building your book of business, where did your original clients come from?
They Well, it started off with friends and then some referrals, of course. I was very grateful. And I was grateful to have those friends too who didn't expect to have things for free or even
Yeah,
discounted. They're like, I know I'll pay full price, you know? And
yeah,
I practice with friends and it slowly started to build. And I think my very first acne client, because I really dedicated a page to all things acne. I used all the before and afters from Face Reality.
I love it.
She, I still see her to this day, and it's been
Wow.
almost 10 years. And she just transitions to normal facials now. But ever since you start to slowly build up a momentum again when you are truly helping somebody with their skin, and then you have pictures to back that up and you have
Yes,
testimonials to back that up, and then people Google, people ask, people Yelp,
they
for the good
do.
or the bad. Like Yelp, it is what it is, and here we are, like people use it.
They do. You know what? So all of my 25 plus years in the industry, my favorite thing are the messages when somebody has helped their client clear. Because, we have all different ranges of people in their aesthetic careers. We have brand new, we have been in it for 25 years. I get the whole gamut and I get all the feedback. And the new esthetician that helps somebody get their skin on the other side, I say the clearing bridge, we cross the clearing bridge.
I love that.
They have a new appreciation and a new relationship and a new connection with their esthetician. And
Mhm.
sometimes, Pam, from working with acne, the transformation, some
Oh,
people, so when you have an inflamed acne client that responds really quickly to treatment and they're just to see it immediate 2 weeks and they're like, oh, that client is like, okay, I didn't even believe it. And the
yeah.
esthetician's like, I didn't believe it either, until you see them 3 weeks later and you're like, it is possible to
Mhm.
change this type of skin. Not every case, you guys, not every case is like that, but you can see some pretty rapid changes in the skin relatively quickly with inflamed acne. And
Mm.
It's such a good feeling place to be in helping somebody go through that path. We have a girl, she's in Southern California. She's been with us. She passed the course in January and she's like, I want to focus on acne. So she's slowly getting ready for waxing clients.
Okay.
And the youngest client, where I actually said I want to sponsor her because she's 11 years old, full face full of acne. She's already started her period. She's has a full set face of acne as a teenager, and she's 11 years old. So she's been treated for 2 weeks now, and just the difference between that very first day and now is phenomenal. And I'm gonna put her pictures up. Like I made sure her mom was like, "Are you on board with this? Like we really want to share her story." It's phenomenal, and I love it. So Pam, how did you learn about Wish? Where did Wish come into your psyche?
I feel like it had to be the book face.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that was it. I'm like, well, wait, hang on a second.
Yeah.
I this might be edited out. I don't know, but I say, at the risk of saying, a lot of my clients are, I would say 90% of my clients are in this age range of 30, like early 30s to like 40s, right? They're right in
Yep.
there. And one of my clients many years ago, it's funny the things that kind of stick with you over the years that you hear, but I think she was probably mid 20s at the time. So she was like in full dating mode and she was,
Hmm.
had the acne. And she said, Pam, face reality is working for me. Can they name it something else? Like, I don't want a guy coming over to my house and seeing all of my acne products, face reality, like lined up on my counter. It was so
Yes.
funny to me. And it didn't dawn on me like that, you want to have pretty bottles and you might have, but kind of nondescript, if you will.
Hence the rebrand.
Yes.
Somebody got a memo somewhere.
It was just so funny. On the flip side, Wish is lovely. The
Thank you.
packaging is lovely.
Thank
The
you.
products are amazing. My clients, I feel like the star product right now for my clients, honestly, is that Emerge cleanser. It is.
Ooh, Emerge. I'm going to tell you offline a whole side story, and you're going to get a whole different appreciation around Emerge. It is a little backstory, side story, you guys. People know I worked for Face Reality back in the day, and there was a very specific methodology to how we actually treated skin, and none of which had anything to do with having a creamy cleanser or anything that just was not the thought process at the time. So 2018, start looking at microbiome health and positioning and seeing what's going on and understanding barrier function and all the impairment that happens when you're usually using traditional acne actives. You really have to put your skin back in a supportive place because you are throwing adversity at it. So I started looking at a couple of ingredients, jojoba being one, sunflower being another, that are very supportive and gentle, non-comedogenic, but ways to really cleanse the face, but not put some love back into the barrier function. That's where the concept of Emerge happens. So it was 2022 when I started playing with the ingredient ratios of how to actually get it like situated. And it's the first product, Pam, that we ever sold completely out of. I placed a PO with my lab in December, and I never want to be the brand that runs out of anything ever. And so you guys, side note, but production can take anywhere from 10 weeks, 14 weeks, 18 weeks, depending on they have to secure all the raw materials. Sometimes these things take a specific way that producing, like it can take a long time. This took the full 10 weeks of production, which freaked me out because I never want to be the brand that sold out of anything. So it's just, I'm learning as we go, as the brand, it becomes more and more and more popular. So I appreciate that. And it gives me a little bit more for the gray hair that just grows out of my head. I'm like, what is happening?
Those are national highlights. That's what I call
It
them.
is my natural high. I mean, I'm way due for a haircut right now. Like, wow, like this is a situation. Well, I love that. So talk to me about, so I never remember we had a conversation and I was like asking you like, who is your clientele?
Yeah.
And you're like, they're mostly adult women. I'm not really a fan of teenage clients. Like, that's not really my jam. And this is another thing when you're figuring out what you want to do and who you want to
Mhm.
actually cater to is identifying who that is.
Really. I mean,
Because it's a,
yeah, I feel like I've hired like a few different marketing coaches or just business coaches along the way
yeah,
in my career. And one of the things I remember doing many moons ago, and if you haven't done this already, do it. Write out your client avatar. I mean, it is
yes,
exactly who your client is. And I tell you, I trust the process, you will attract that client. I mean,
yeah,
I was very specific. My client is um, female. I'm open to males, obviously, or
hmm
whomever walks through the door. There is they work. We have a ghost in here, that's what I call it. The lights. Um they work out, they drive this, they're all of the little things. This is how much money they make in a year. Um write out the client avatar, and it's truly like manifesting your clients.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes. It
very
truly is. So
yeah.
the year we're probably in the same generational category of like growing up and watching Oprah and having Oprah ask the guest, what do you want out of your life?
Yes.
And people would always respond, I want to be happy. And then she would say, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And then the guest would sit there stunned, like, I don't know what that means.
Right.
I want to be happy. And then she would say, well, you need to identify what is going to make you happy. You need to think about that. Same thing for business.
Yep.
What do you want? Who do you want your client to be? And the whole industry, Pam, as you know, being in it for as long as you have, is everything is about anti-aging, and I'm like, I don't use the terminology in any of our marketing. I refuse. We're
Same.
all aging, and we can age healthy and we can age slower by taking care of our bodies and our skin. But the acne community is kind of like kicked to the curb. Every brand has like, oh yeah, we have that for acne or we have that for acne, but it's not the focus. It's the side piece of the
Right.
whole brand. And I could tell some stories where some brands, we spent a very significant amount of money doing a whole huge launch of an acne or part of the portfolio, but it
Mm.
wasn't fully vetted and it didn't work.
Right.
So that piece to it of trying to add that into it, because acne being the number one skin condition, we all know this, is it's not just something you throw into your portfolio. Acne is multifactorial, it's complex. It's not just plug and play like your traditional facial. And I don't remember which podcast it was, maybe two podcasts ago, we were talking about the world of making pretty people pretty. Oh, it's going to air this Friday, actually. It's with Brittany. We were talking about basically the whole industry is making pretty people prettier. But with acne, you cannot play. So if you're going to produce acne specific products, they have to get results for your clients, obviously, to buy them again. But it's such a very specific, hyper focused niche that we don't play in you can't be like, oh, let's just see if this works and just see how the client, no, no, no. It doesn't work that way. You got to actually vet your situation. So Pam, being in Southern California, obviously you're on the coast. I'm jealous because when it's 150 degrees out here, now it's been beautiful. It is still cold. I was cold this morning. I'm so happy about that. Like you're being on the coast, jealous, you guys. You're in Redondo Beach, right?
Correct. Correct.
I love that. I mean, I remember growing up in Southern California, going to the beach. My gosh. How has the field of aesthetics evolved since you started? What do you see has changed from when you started working, doing treatments and facials to now? So over, 15 years later being licensed, what's changed? What have you seen change?
I would say in general, there is more of a shift to more holistic ways and whole body treatments as
Yeah.
opposed to, your just quick quick fixes. The
Yeah.
peels and I feel like the 90s was all about peeling the skin, just peeling, peeling, peeling. And not to say that they don't have their place now, but it was
Right.
definitely like I don't know. I feel like it was more med spa driven, or at least those types of treatments in the treatment room. But yeah, now it's much. I feel like it's much more holistically focused.
Hi, everybody. This is David Valenzuela. I hope you're enjoying today's episode of I Wish Podcast. This is a quick little reminder. If you are watching this on YouTube, to subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up. If you are listening to this on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, wherever you're getting your podcast, love it. Give it a 5-star review. It would really mean the world to us. This episode has been generously sponsored by Wish Skin Health. Wish is focused on the holistic treatment of acne without the need for prescription medication. If you are looking to level up your aesthetic practice with a sustainable, focused acne business model, we would love to have you as a certified Wish Pro. Visit trywish.com, click on the Pro tab for further detail. Accutane with like mild acne.
Now,
I'm like, you shouldn't be on Accutane. Like, what in the... So then there's an article that just came out last Friday about talking about the dermatology over prescribing antibiotics specifically in the US for acne. They know it's a problem. The article is actually about emergency contraception, as this has become a thing happening in the US where it's not accessible to everybody. And so those that are taking Accutane, and then for whatever reason, there was a whole bunch of very interesting ways they described getting pregnant, like, oops, I don't know, my contraception failed. So it was bringing to light that the dermatology sector is not positioned to have that conversation with their clients about what the options even are. So should they have even been put on Accutane in the first place? Like that conversation. So I feel like as the consensus of the population, just consumers understanding, like, I don't have to go on these drugs with a little 3-minute Google search. So if you guys have acne in your name on your website, you'll come up better. FYI, side tip. You're the option to have more of a holistic treatment to not disrupting your external microbiome with an antibiotic or therapeutic. I love the ghost action happening here. I love this. Maybe
you
your
can see
grandmother's
ghost
coming.
action, right?
I love
Okay.
it.
A really quick side note to that too. We've been told that we live on top of, or we live, our studio is on top of a pet cemetery. I
Interesting.
know. So we actually have clients in here who think that they see every once in a while, and they don't know that we are on top of a pet cemetery.
Interesting.
That they see animals walking around sometimes. It's not
Okay.
great. Okay, anyway,
The more the more you know. We love our little furry
that's
kids. I
right.
mean, oh my gosh, I love it.
We can.
So Pam, being in the business, so you get an award for the amount of time that you served as a flight attendant because it's just a thankless. Now, I have friends, not to total side tangent, but I have friends that are flight attendants and love being able to fly places. They take advantage of their 3-day trips when they're going international. Like they get to travel the whole world and see the whole world. Me having traveled for 20 years of my career, I'm like, get me out of the damn airport. I want to get off this airplane. Like, I can't imagine doing it for work. And
Yeah.
people are crazy. So
Yes. Yes.
you should get an award for that. But having a successful business now in 2024, what are some tips? What are some potential tips that you would give a listener about maintaining a profitable business?
Stay educated, I think, before anything else, and absorb all the education that you can. The more you know, right? Uh,
Yes.
and stay connected with your clients. And I think one of the things that has really helped me maintain and grow my business, honestly, literally every single month, I write a newsletter to my clients, and I've been doing it
Love
for
it.
10 years. And
Love it.
everyone has a theme, and my theme is really driven by questions from the treatment room. And a lot of times I'll put some interaction there, trivia questions. I never ever really offer specials at all. So these are not like driven to really drum up business and get them in at discounted prices. It is to educate the clients. And so it might stir up a conversation in the treatment room. We might have some debates in the treatment room, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But stay connected with your clients. If you're not in front of your clients, somebody else will be. And
Yes.
it's like, with all the social media right now and the ads flashing in front of you, all of the things, they're seeing all of this. So stay relevant in their minds.
Yes. So the education never ends.
Never,
Huge. Like
never.
it's never. So I we had a conversation. I'm getting them all confused, the podcast, but we were talking about the social media influencer
Yeah.
and it's taking a turn. So the brands, investment firms have put a lot of money behind influencers like to launch brands, and they're failing and closing. There's been a lot. I never wish that on anybody's business,
All right.
but it's built off a false premise that all of these millions of followers are going to buy products for me because I'm an influencer. And I'm like, well, how many of the millions of followers are fake? But that's a different topic.
Right.
But we're seeing now, like, even with like really big Jennifer Lopez celebrity with Sephora not carrying her brand anymore, like it being pushed out, like this is a different day. The gold packaging, the luxury, all of the fluff and puff, consumers are becoming aware about the influencers, the celebrity cash grab, all of it, and it's like it's just not, they're not falling for it as easy as they used to.
Yeah.
I think the Kardashians have probably taken all the money out of the whole entire thing, and they just have it in a truck somewhere in their backyard. I don't know, but they're like the original influencers, right? Because of that TV show, and the people feel like they know them. So whatever they launched was just successful. But we're making the turn now around. So I say mastery, and you become a master at something by being educated on it, doing it 100 to 300 times. Like you become an expert at it, and clients are willing to pay for that. They're not willing to pay for mediocre. They're not willing to pay for something you can get everywhere just because you're the Groupon client that's bouncing from place to place, trying to get a deal. I don't recommend it. But the education aspect of our industry, it's all, even since we started the brand, since I launched the Wish Group in 2018, from now to 2024, the amount of information around the microbiome, the health of the microbiome has changed so much. I can't just be like, it was a one-time deal and then I learned about it and then I'm just done. It's going to continue. So I feel like it's not something that you can ever, you have to put a lot of value on education. If you guys are listening to this and you're thinking about, first of all, there's so many free resources for all things. A 10-second YouTube, Google, anything, Reddit, whatever search, you're going to find a lot of information on topics. Do your own research, but you're going to find information. So I love that.
I feel like you learn so much more outside of aesthetic school.
Yeah, you do. Well, and the brands get a little bit of so flipping the narrative where people actually purchase education before they have entry into a brand is like next level, because someone's made an investment. They're invested in their education and learning about something versus, all those years with Dermalogica. I love Dermalogica. It was part of my history. We couldn't get people into the damn classes. Like we had registrars and they were just beating up the phone banks to get the same people to come to free education.
Wow.
And so there's something to be said for that, because we offered really amazing education. It was stellar. IDI education was top notch. I did a podcast. Her name is Belinda Benet. She talks about her experience about becoming an educator with Dermalogica. It was no joke. I mean, those girls were like, it's like military school. It was no joke. So the fact that we had to work as hard as we did to get people to come to education, I'm like, now if we charge $150 for each one of those classes, it probably would have been a different narrative where I'm going to show up because I paid for it and I've made an investment. So I want to get my money's worth. So just as you guys are looking at education, a lot of it's going to come from brands, and it's okay. Get a lot of it. Take advantage of it. If it's available to you, get it. So Pam, when we first had one of our first conversations and we were talking about corneotherapy, and I was saying to you, this had just been introduced to me by a gal in Florida. Will you explain to the listener about corneotherapy and the philosophy around it?
It's basically being mindful of the skin barrier, being protective of the skin barrier, about skin barrier health above everything else.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell.
So I have the gal that introduced it to me, right? And so she gave me some websites. So I'm going on and I'm researching and I'm looking at some of the things, and I understand the philosophy, totally get it. And I also understand where it could butt heads a little bit when you're treating acne. Because some of the things are a little bit, they can be a little aggressive, and you're like, whoop, little barrier function, little active, little barrier function, little active. And it's sort of the understanding the barrier and how to maintain its integrity versus like over stripping or over drying somebody as they're going through the clearing process. That's when a lot of post-inflammatory issues can happen.
Yeah.
Pigmentation, whether it's PIH or PIE, I see the issues coming from when skin is over dried.
Yes.
It's impaired barrier function, the microbiome is not intact, the skin can't heal correctly. And
Mhm.
this is sort of it's a newer concept for acne driven people, specifically around active. So the consumer, this is the number one issue people have with a BPO, which has also been a hot topic as of late. Acne clients, so this is you guys estheticians when you're professionally guiding this conversation about how you're going to recommend somebody to use a percentage of a BPO. They want to put 4 or 5 pumps on because of the mindset that if I put a bunch of this on, my skin will clear faster, and they're just going to make their face really, really angry right out of the gate. So it's slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady. Like that is your jam around
I know.
microbiome.
I'm like, you're not, if you overuse a product, you're not going to clear faster. You're just going to be spending more money. Like
Right.
just stop doing that. Like,
That actually is really good positioning because it's true. So the demoing actually how much product you're going to use, how many pumps of a specific serum, a cleanser, like I'm really passionate about airless pumps for that reason, for not only keeping the integrity of the product sealed away from contaminants in the bathroom, but also how you dispense. I want things to under dispense as opposed to over dispense, so that your clients are actually getting their value for their money that they spent on a product, but
Mhm.
also they don't need to overuse the actives. Like
Yeah.
it becomes a thing. It becomes a thing. So Pam, you're acne focused. What experience do you have with talking to your clients about their lifestyle, about like dietary choices and things that are affecting their acne? How does this conversation go? Because I hear so many. I mean, talking to Jill this morning, where she said there's a lot of tech workers, obviously in San Francisco. You know, the Bay Area, it's a lot of technology, and they're slamming Red Bull all day because they're working 15 hours a day.
Totally. It's, you know what, we take it step by step. First, yes, actives are going to be a part of it, but unless you are addressing the other contributing factors, you're not going to get the kind of clarity that you're hoping for. So we gotta go all in, right? And
Yes.
lifestyle, yes, there are things about lifestyle that we might be able to tweak. We probably will tweak. I always tell them, now listen, you may not like me very much after this, but we're going to address diet. And I'm honest. I'm like, in all the years I've been working with acne, diet is probably the biggest challenge for people because we like what we like,
Right.
and when we want to eat the yummy things.
Yep.
Uh, but I'm not naive to think that they're going to, cut cold turkey candy.
Yeah.
In moderation, like don't have a candy bar a day, maybe have like a candy bar once a week or so, something like that. Like
Yeah.
just rein it in a little. Like
Yep.
we can't keep literally feeding your acne. And my mom used to say, you are what you eat, right? Well, it's true.
It's totally
So
true.
it's, yeah, do you want clear skin or do you want the candy bar? I don't know. I
Well, just even making the connection between the two, like this is a US thing because the belief in we've just set up society like this, right? So you have an issue, you go to the doctor, you get this to fix it, but it's not really ever fixing it. It's just treating a symptom. So we do it with acne, we do it with cholesterol. The Lipitor is the number one prescribed medication in the United States. We don't have people running around saying, well, you should change your diet.
right.
Maybe you should change your diet. I told a story a couple weeks ago about being in Whole Foods with some friends, and he said, oh no, I can't drink that. I was getting some green juice at the juice bar. And I'm like, don't put the apple in. I want the low glycemic. I'm being crazy. And I was like, do you want to try this? He said, oh no, I can't drink that because for my blood pressure medicine. And I was like, what do you think your blood pressure medicine is doing? Like, why do you think they tell you not to eat kale or green leafy vegetables? Like, what do you think your medication is doing? The connection is not, it's like a disconnect completely. Like, oh no, I ingest this. Like, food is medicine and it is going to inhibit your clearing process. It's going to slow it down. If you've got triggers for you, for your personal body, might be dairy, it might be peanuts, it might be an omega-6, it could be whatever it is.
Right.
It's going to help your skin to at least reduce your intake while you're having your acneic condition.
Wow.
So what do you see right now, Pam, as challenges for skincare professionals in 2024? I know obviously this is it's a trick question because you're successful, you've got clients, you've been around for a minute, you've got a successful business, but the collective as a whole, I know we're in some similar Facebook groups. What are you seeing as some challenges that skincare professionals are facing now in 2024?
I would say if I had to pick something right now, I would probably say social media and the
Yes.
influencers of the world, and um, not getting a full story with education, and not the client, meaning just being sold products. So I think that we are probably, I mean, I just think back to a client not too long ago. I've been working with her for years, and she's, I don't think of myself as salesy, but more I educate people for the health of their skin.
Yeah.
And she is one that she just doesn't buy products. And she went into the Sephora. I went to the woman there and bought like this whole kit of products. And then she came into me and I said, okay, listen, I said, I'm just going to say it. I've been seeing you for 5 years. I know your skin just as well as you do, if not better. And you're
Yeah.
going to go into Sephora and talk with
Wow.
somebody who doesn't know your skin at all, and you're going to buy products. I don't understand what happened here. She's like, oh, I didn't think about that. Yes, I can't believe I have clients sometimes, David. This is
Well,
like,
you know what? That's probably one of the contributing factors as to why you have clients.
well,
Because you're that exact scenario, addressing that with somebody that's willing to drop $300 at Sephora, that's not willing to invest in products that you've curated for your business.
yes.
I would,
I think it's that, like the Sephora's, the online sales, the ads. I mean, clients will text me all the time with pictures. This just popped up in my ad. What do you think? I think just delete the ad. Okay. Hide the
don't
ad.
click on it.
What? Right now, I think that that's it. And I think that there's a way to kind of maneuver around that. But again, I think it's just having that really good relationship with your clients and staying connected with them.
Yes. It's so the relationship aspect of our industry, the touch aspect of it, the human connection piece to it, it doesn't get talked about enough because we're so fluffy about this makes me look better and whatever. It's the appearance aspect of the industry, but the physical component to your relationship with your clients, having a client for a decade says something about you and your ability to retain that client through your relationship with that client, and probably telling them some truths that they didn't want to hear along the way. It's all right. Like it's that actually kind of parlayed into the next question about have you come into, I mean, you probably have educated most of your clients, but are there any DIY skincare practices or at-home treatments that you have seen that you've had clients come in and be like, oh, I've been doing this, that you're like, stop that.
Doing that. Oh,
Stop doing that.
I'm doing it. Um, oh my gosh. Okay, not really lately. I'm trying to think, like nothing's coming to mind offhand.
Yeah, that's
Thankfully.
good. Yeah.
Thankfully.
Yes.
I mean, I did just have, and she was a brand new client and with rosacea, and she came in and I always encourage people to bring all of your things that you're using at home. Anything that touches your face, you bring that in with you on your first
Yes.
visit. And we sit down, we sort through it all. And she brought out, and I haven't seen this in a while, but a Clarisonic.
Ooh,
And I
wow.
said, no, don't ever use that again.
It's not very frequently that a L'Oreal caliber of a company shuts a division of a company down completely. That was I remember from when it launched, when it came out,
Ah,
having personal Clarisonics, the professional one, all the brushes, like Wow, that was it. Well, she can't even buy anything. She can't get brushes for it or anything even anymore.
I know. And so that made me wonder too, like, what is that brush? When was the last time you cleaned that brush? Like I
Right.
was, no.
No, I love that. I love that. So, no, I get it. I totally get it. All right, what else do I want to ask you? Because I know you're busy and you've got a client, and we had a little technical challenge before we got on, and it took some of our time up. Are there any particular skincare myths that you would like to debunk, specifically around treating acne?
That clean means it's acne safe.
Oh my God,
That flew right
yes.
now. I get this. I actually get this a lot, but it's clean. But that doesn't mean it's acne safe. Like it
Right.
just
I
there. I
know.
think there is this misconception that that just means yeah, it's acne safe.
So, I get into I have a very interesting positioning from a chemistry perspective as far as acne safe.
Mhm.
And there's a reason why no one has done Dr. Fulton's testing again from the bunny from back in the day, the behind the bunny's ear, and like all this stuff. And I will say, Pam, that from my research, there are certain things on the list that would be considered acne safe that will actually still cause acne for people that are prone to it.
Right.
So it's very difficult to put everything in a category, especially now with understanding barrier function,
Yes.
microbiome support. Of course, you don't want to use things that are super occlusive that are going to hinder the shedding process and stuff. But that list that everybody loves, and there's all these filters checking stuff on the internet now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I know we have to start somewhere, but I usually tell people like if you look at an ingredient deck, look for some triggers like in the first 5 to 10 ingredients because it's really
Yes.
the majority of the product versus like the 37th ingredient that's in there
Yeah.
0.002%. It's not going to do anything. Like,
That's exactly what I tell them too. I typically am a little bit more, I guess, stringent, if you will, if they're like new in the clearing process.
yes,
So,
yes,
and then, when they're clearing, we just kind of loosen up the reins a little bit. And, it's more about the entirety of the ingredient deck to your point.
yeah,
Like if, you've
yeah,
got like I don't know, a major influencer in acne up the top, then maybe that's not your best bet.
right,
Well, the
right.
body, it's probably fine. I'm sure you're fine. You know?
But it's an education and being educated and being able to have that point of view, right? I totally get it. So, last question. Looking ahead, what do you anticipate the aesthetic community changes that you see coming up in aesthetics? Do you have any like crystal ball moments where you see the future of aesthetics going a certain direction?
Gosh. Can I have a different last question?
Of course you can. Well, you know what? I think the you've already actually kind of answered it because when you were talking earlier about holistic,
Yes.
consumers holistic, I have an opinion of where I see aesthetics going. I'm looking at it from a bunch of different angles, from a brand angle, from an esthetician angle, like all the different medical angles. And I see the physician space low key has been coming into the industry for a long time
Okay.
because of the cash and carry aspect of it. And they're not making money off injectables anymore. So they're like slowly moving in, like, oh, maybe we should have an acne clinic. I've had the conversation, so I see that happening.
Whoa.
It is a very interesting time in our industry, but it's mostly good and positive because the people that are freaking out about artificial intelligence and like, you guys, you know what? You're never going to be able to replace the power of touch. There may be a bunch of different ways that you could come up with a routine or a product recommendation or product information, but it's never going to replace your relationship with your esthetician and the power of touch. It's not going to happen.
Absolutely.
Well, I love that. So I was going to ask you about SPF, but you're smart like that.
No.
So let's talk. So let's give everybody, so you guys, Pam, Laura Veriskin is based in Southern California, Pam, but if people want to find you, maybe they found this podcast, they want to book an appointment, they want to follow you on social media, where can people find you?
Well, not on social media.
You know what? That's actually my favorite response ever.
I am so late to this party. I literally, on Instagram, I have 0 posts. 0.
Okay, good for you. You know what? Okay, so before we let you go, I'm going to tell you guys that some of the most shiniest Instagram pages and shiniest social media presence in our industry are some unbusy, not booked, successful people. And it's okay. I get it. It's okay. It's a presence. But I can tell you, Pam, you're not the only one of our Provide Wish pros in the world that doesn't have a social media presence because you're busy. You're busy. And you know what? You have a
I,
website.
I have a website.
You have a beautiful website. You do have a beautiful website. So lauravera.com if you want to see where Pam's see her website. But it's a good way to end this podcast because social media it's just that. It's social media. You guys, the platforms are conditioned to get you to stay on the platform for lengthy periods of time. So they're constantly algorithmically, without getting too complex, it's trying to put things in front of you that you will continue to pay attention to, which is a distraction from what you should really be doing. So I try to get on, answer a bunch of DMs. I know we have to post to keep our presence out there, but I don't say that you have to be completely on social media to have a successful business. So thank you for saying that.
Well, I mean, I now that we've gone through all of that, I did just hire a client to maybe help with Instagram because she's like, I feel like you need to have a presence on
And
social
you
media.
can, and you know what? You can always highlight your results and highlight your activities and
Yeah.
you can, but to your success right now, to your credit, you've been able to build this business without that.
Yeah.
So it is possible, you guys, I know where it's in 2024 and everybody's like Instagram. I always tell people as a foundational thing to have a website first before they start doing anything on any social platform. Have a website. You need to have a place where people can find you. That is your home base. And then people should be able to book, buy products, whatever from your website. And the rest of it's just fluff.
Yeah.
It's all right. If you don't have time to go and do a full photo shoot to put Instagram every week, don't spend your time doing that. Do great treatments. Engage with your clients. Focus on a newsletter.
I love
Great business activity.
it.
All right, Pam. Well, listen, I appreciate you. Thank you for being a Wish Pro. I appreciate your time today. I thank you for being flexible.
Yeah.
This wasn't that bad, was it?
No, this is great.
See, it's fun. And so we're gonna let Pam go now because she actually does have a client coming in about 20 minutes. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you.
I appreciate this so much for the opportunity. Truly.
Absolutely.
Thank you.